Welcome to the Bill Cartwright Show with our special guest, NBA player Corey Benjamin. Corey, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Coach. Welcome for having me. Thank you for having me.
Now, this is what I'd like to do. I want everybody to get to know you really quickly.
Okay.
So let's just talk about you. I want to talk about, first question is talk about you, where you grew up, and talk about your mom and dad.
Okay. I'm from a little small city. I grew up in two cities, Fontana, California, and Compton, California. It started off in Compton, Carson, California. As I hit middle school, my parents moved out east of LA, which is Fontana. And we started life there, away from all the riffraff, so we can be kids and enjoy going outside and doing something we love to do is play sports.
Hey, do you have brothers, sisters?
I have two brothers. I have an older brother, Sonny. He's 2 years older than me. I went to college with him, so he was my college teammate. I followed behind him at Oregon State University, and I have a younger brother named Derek. He played a little bit in high school and didn't do much after that.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about high school. I think you went to Fontana High School, but I want you to talk about what kind of kid were you in high school, and did you have any mentors?
Um, I've always had mom and dad behind me. We was a strong knit family where mom and dad didn't allow outsiders in our circle. So if it wasn't my granddad being a pastor, it wasn't mom or dad. My travel ball coach was a big help with basketball. Izzy Washington. He developed Slam and Jam. He was the CEO of Slam and Jam travel ball team out of Los Angeles. So basically, mom and dad.
So talk about because you were a really good athlete in high school. So talk about, did you want to play like somebody, or did somebody work on your skills with you? Um, how did you become the basketball player that you were?
Well, it all started. We've always played basketball in the backyard, the front yard, the parks. Um, but I was playing basketball and baseball at the same time, and I was in love with baseball. I was a Dodger. My mom would take me to the Dodger games. We had a good family friend, Hubert Brooks, would give us tickets to the game. So basketball was secondary until I got in eighth grade. I started growing, and I couldn't hit the ball, and the whole season of baseball, I'm striking out, but I'm playing good defense at first base and left field, right field, center field. But I could never hit the ball. So my mom pulled me to the side and said one day, I think this might be time for you to put the baseball down and start basketball full time. So it was kind of hard, but I wanted to do it because I couldn't hit the ball no more. So put more my recreation time into basketball. And I've always played because my brother was a high school phenom. And that's where it was. I started dunking the ball at, I believe, in the seventh grade.
Wow.
In the seventh grade, which I can only dunk with me and my brother. When my dad was around, I could never make the dunk. So he never really believed it, but I was nervous. So for me, I was dunking at seventh grade, but for him, he'd say eighth grade. Um, and I just fell in love with the game of basketball.
So talk about your high school team. Did you guys, who was your coach, and did you guys have pretty good teams?
Well, ninth grade, I started at JW North High School in Riverside. Um, so they were going to the state championship every year, CIF championship. But I played behind Ed Gray. He was a senior. I was a freshman. He was going to Cal, and I was incoming freshman, but I didn't get any playing time because I was playing behind this All American. But I deserved some tick, you know. So it was rough. It was a rough freshman year when you're sitting on the bench knowing you should be out there contributing to a team, but your age has a lot to do with it. You know, back then, freshmen didn't play. Regardless of your talent, I wasn't going to get in the game. I was getting in garbage time. So after they left, Ed went to Cal, Sonny went to Oregon State. I transferred to Fontana High School, which it was in my district. So I got to go to high school with the kids I went to middle school with. Felt comfortable. I had a coach, Mike Barty, at North. Then I went to Fontana, had a coach, Mike Southworth. And Southworth basically gave me the basketball and just said, if you work on your game, you know, the world is yours. And I stayed in the gym.
Well, you did. Weren't you like Mr. California? They never had that when I was in school. But so you worked on your game, all right.
Yeah, you know, I eighth grade, my brother travel ball team was the O'Bannons, Jock Bond, a lot of the top California high school players. So I got to practice with them guys since I've been third grade, fifth grade, sixth grade, all the way through high school. So I practiced with, you know, these McDonald's All Americans my whole life. So I couldn't get none, but I thought I could. But you know, that was where I set my tone at, is to get where they was. So um my goal was very high, you know, because I was playing with the Charles O'Bannons, the Toby Baileys, the Jock Bonds, the Sonny Benjamins. And so being afraid of talent wasn't the case with me because I grew up with it.
So it's your senior year now, and you're in California. Now you have to pick a college. Now we all know where you ended up. Talk about that process and talk about your final three choices of where you're going to go to college.
Well, um, that was the year where they were saying we were all coming out of high school. So you had Obi, Jermaine, Tim Thomas, Lester Earl, and myself, where those five players they said could skip college and enter the draft. But for me, it was like kind of new to me. A kid from Los Angeles, you open up this big book and just saying like NBA, where our goal in California was always to play D1. We wanted to go D1. We wasn't thinking about skipping. We wanted to get a patch that says D1. So actually picking a college wasn't really something I was thinking of. You know, I knew I had the Dukes, the Kentuckys, the Carolinas, the UCLA's, the Fresno States, um, all the time, but I really didn't pay it much mind. And Oregon State wasn't even on the list. You know, I was just being a fan of my brother, you know, and coming to Oregon to visit. And I remember it like it was yesterday. It was signing day, and I really didn't know where I was going. This was a last minute decision where I thought I was going to UCLA. I thought I was going to Fresno State, and I believe it was Valentine's Day. And my dad kind of cold turkeyed me out for a week of giving me lunch money because he wanted me to go to Oregon State. So, so I went a week without my dollar of lunch, you know, because he wanted me to go to Oregon State. So my mom wanted me to go play with my brother as well at Oregon State. So it was basically a parent's decision. The night before, mom sat me down and just said she would like for me to play with my brother and let him ride the journey that I'm about to take for a year or two. So, you know, we had UCLA and Fresno State and some other colleges there, and they were very disappointed that I chose Oregon State. Matter of fact, Oregon State wasn't even at the signing day because they had no clue that I was going there. And they were surprised when they heard. I think they heard it on the news or the TV. So in our communication, we had really no communication that I was even thinking about there. So they were surprised. It was a great decision. It could have been better at other schools, but I got an opportunity to explore Oregon. I got an opportunity to play college ball with my brother.
So now you are at Oregon State. Talk about one thing, who's the coach, and talk about your first year at Oregon State.
First year at Oregon State, we brought in, I believe, 6 freshmen. JB Bickerstaff now is the coach with the Cleveland Cavaliers, and 4 other freshmen. Um, it was an up and down, lumpy road. I came in as a freshman. I passed my SATs late, so I had to sit out the first 5 games. So my first game was against, I believe, Texas, Reggie Freeman. And they ranked number, who knows, in the country, 12 or 9. So I got thrown in the fire right away. But I was ready, you know. I believe it was like national televised game. And we battled, my first game. It was tough. We didn't win many games. We were babies playing against, I believe that year, UCLA, Arizona, Stanford was all in the Final Four. They were going deep in Cal as well, going deep. But every night was a battle. I had to go across 3 guards every night. That was good.
So talk about what was it like to be there with your brother? Did he guide you while you were there?
Yeah, he showed me the ropes. He showed me the ropes of how to get around in town and where to go and who's who. But I was on a business trip, Now I talk to kids now, and a lot of kids say it too. I'll be like, "Yeah, you're on a business trip. Let's not forget about this degree, because that degree goes a long way." But that was my mentality back then. I was on a 1 year, 2 year business trip, so I stayed in the gym. Um, my goal was to get to the next level now, So we hung out, but it was at home. A lot of my hanging out was in the gym.
So talk about your time, and I'm not even sure what your process, even though I should be, because you ended up being where I was at. But talk about your mindset your last year when you were at Oregon State.
My last year at Oregon State, I believe, I ended up playing, I believe, 12 games my sophomore year. And out of the 12 games, I believe I scored 34 points or more the last 6 games, and ended up having an injury. But it was fun. Like I was floating, put it that way. Like the last 6 games I played at Oregon State, the basket was this big every time I walked out there, and I knew NBA scouts were coming to watch. I was ready to perform, and I had a good last 6 games where I believe I averaged 34, 35 points the last 6 games of my college career. It ended due to an injury, but I was ready to take a next step, so I had to get my body healthy to enter the draft.
So now your college career is over. Now you're ready to go into the NBA. Where did you think you were going to go, and were you ready?
Well, I was told coming out I was going to go in between 12 and 13. That was the Houston Rockets, and I forget who the other ones was. But that class was two, 3 guard strong. You had Michael Dickinson. They were deep. They were really deep. It was a lot of Paul Pierce, Antoine Jameson, Jason Williams, Katino Mobley. We had a very deep class full of guards, which was upperclassmen that was older than me. Um, it was a nice journey just to sit around some of the guys that I've watched for years older than me now, and I was a part of their clique as entering the draft. Now, being ready, I was a puppy. I was a puppy. I was a young boy, young man going into adult's world, where this is a business now. This is not recreation. You know, there's nobody there to hold your hand and tell you to do what to do. You have to be on time. You have to come early, leave late, and at times as being a 19-year-old kid, your mind's not there to click and let you know that This is not a game. You know, I had you there with the Bulls. You know, we were young. You know, I got on a team where our veterans was basically done. You know, they won their 3 championships, 6 championships, so they were just riding the ride. You know, it wasn't much, leadership from our veterans. You know, they were on their way out the door. You know, they were good teammates to have around. You know, but it was the young guys leading the young guys.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. What did you like about being there in Chicago?
I
And
loved it. I
what and
mean,
what was really challenging?
um, first of all, my my family's from Chicago, so I never was able to meet this side of the family until I moved to Chicago. So
Wow, I did not know that.
yes, my grandmother's, my mom's whole side of the family's from Chicago, so I got to go to family reunions. You know, meet my grandma's sisters and brothers and cousins that I've never met in my life before. So the family side was great. You know, got to meet everybody. Basketball, I was living a dream. You know, I was living everything I thought of. You know, I'm playing in Michael's house. You know, I'm surrounded around trophies and banners. I'm living a kid's dream. You know, but at the same time, this is a business. You know, so you got to wake up out of this dream and realize it's reality. You know, it was tough. Especially coming from a position where I was had the ball in my hand my whole life and was told just to go score. Now I'm in a position where everybody around me can score, and we're running this offense called a triangle, where you have to really learn how to run this offense. You just can't catch the ball and shoot. So it was an adjustment to me where now you got to pass and go screen, and you can't think about just shooting the ball. You got to go get this guy open and react off this play and this play. So it was a struggle to not have the ball in my hand and do something else than just shoot the basketball. But that's a part of growing where you know that it's a team effort. Everybody has a job.
So your time with Chicago, I think you were with us, what, 3 years? Is that right?
Yeah, 3 years.
So when that 3 years was up, you ended up on a real journey. So talk about the different teams that you ended up with after that. I was just looking at that online and I was like, wow, this guy was really on a journey.
Yes, yes.
Talk about the first time you went overseas.
Oh, Lord have mercy. It was I just was telling this story the other day. So, getting out of the NBA, we prima donnas, we drive nice cars, we eat nice food. And my first trip out the country, I was in Italy, a town called Montegannaro, south of everything. So it was the winter time when I got there, it was raining. But they say in the summertime it's beautiful. You can see Croatia on a clear day, so the water is there, but no sun whatsoever. And I struggled, like no sun, it's dark and it's green and it's gray and just so we get up, go to practice, and just the weather was just not my type of weather. They give me this car that I had to jump start like every day. I had to put the jumping cables on them. I'm just, I'm about 22 years old. I'm got some nice cars and a nice house in California, and I go to this situation, you know. So, my mind wasn't there where I'm thinking like, geez, I can go back home, but this is a job. And I stayed there for probably 3 months. Um, I wasn't ready to go overseas. I wasn't ready to accept that this was going to be my life. My NBA career went by 3, 4 years, and then now I'm overseas. Overseas was never in my mind to go play. So stayed there for about 3 or 4 months, and they knew I wanted to go, and I just wasn't happy. I remember Otis Hill come knocking on my door. We played them one night, and he tried to give me a big brother prep talk and say, "Hey, stick this out, like just stick this out and, just da 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 da. But the words he told me came back to haunt me. I should have stuck it out because I left and I didn't return. So everywhere else I went in Europe, they always asked what happened at this situation, where I just wasn't ready to accept.
Yeah. So you ended up going there, and I was looking at the list because you went from there. You ended up in France.
I loved it. I loved it. France is one of my favorite countries. The basketball was great. Um, Leaving France, I know I had an opportunity to make another NBA team. Because we went 2 days every day. I mean, hard. It was the same team Udonis Haslam played on. He left and I came in. So he went to, I believe, Miami, and I came in and replaced the other American that he left. And France was great. The ball was great. You had to play basketball. We made it to the French Cup, lost in the finals to one of their top teams, Paul Artest out there. I enjoyed France. I've been a lot of places, but France was one of the best places I played for basketball.
So did you? I think you had another opportunity to get back in the league.
Yes. I was with the Bobcats with a father of mine, Bernie Bickerstaff, my best friend JB Bickerstaff. So I was with them. Flew in for the summer, so I basically stayed out there the whole summer, played on their summer league team. And Bernie gave me a partial contract in the summer. Rode the wave with them all the way to the last day of you can make the team. And Steve Smith came in the door like the last day. I'm the 12th man on the team, and Steve Smith walked in the door. So it's an option. You got a veteran that's been in here 15 years, and we have, Corey. So, they rode with Steve Smith. So I had to pack my bags and get on another journey to overseas, I believe.
Yes, but you played a lot of different countries. You were in China. You were in Venezuela. You were in Puerto Rico. You were you were in Korea. You were in Portugal.
Yeah. So,
You were in some amazing places that I'd still like to go to.
I remember Paul Pierce and I had a conversation, and he was just telling me, man, you get to travel all the world and do all this at this age, and I haven't left the country yet. Because he was only in his fifth, sixth year in the NBA. I haven't left the country yet. And I was like, yeah, you making all this money over here in America. He was like, but no, I want to leave the country. But it got to the point where I was picking countries that I just wanted to go on tour with and just see what there were. So all the countries I played in, it was on my bucket list to go see and visit, and actually lived there for like a year.
Yeah. So out of those countries, what did you really learn from being there culturally? And which country you told besides France that you really like the best?
Every country has its favorites, moments or whatever. Central America, it's water, it's tropical. You go Asia. I love Chinese food and I love clothes. So, you can always come back with a million suits and shoes and custom video games and all that type of stuff. Um, Korea was just, it was amazing just to be on that side of the world. And you see so many of our military bases around there. So you would never think Korea has so many Americans walking around in certain parts. I enjoyed, I enjoyed it all. You know, Portugal, I got to go to Angola. Whoever thought I was going to go to Africa, just to cross Africa's line and hang out and say, oh, I went to Africa before. I've been in China where the cab driver kidnapped us for about 8 hours because he wanted more money. I've been in China where we had an emergency landing in Afghanistan. This is during the time where they were beheading Americans, so we still had to get off the plane and allow them to fix whatever was going on with the plane and get back on. So, being an American, we scared, but, I survived.
Wow. Yes, I would be a little concerned myself. So, so now, after years of travel, and I ended up playing 16 years of basketball, I kind of knew when it was time to quit because I was on the verge of getting injured a dozen times. So, what made the decision for you, and you knew this was going to be your last year?
I was playing in Japan, and I had got to the point where for me to play on teams I was getting paid a lot of money. About 50 a month. Overseas, that was some nice money, about 50 a month. And we go to Japan, and I blew out my knee.
Oh,
This is my first time even having a major incident of surgery. So I just had got to where I wanted to be making my money overseas. Like, man, I put in some work, so this is what I'm, coming into the next couple of years is making, and probably more. And blew out my knee, and flew back to Korea to have my surgery. And the best place I ever to have surgery, because I believe after knee surgery, I was walking probably 5 to 7 days afterwards, because you have to stay in the hospital 12 days of doing rehab, which I left with 5 to 7 days, but I walked out walking, after major surgery. Um, and The craziest thing is my roommate was Mark Sanford. He blew out his knee a month prior to me blowing out mine. So I'm nursing him while his knee is coming in. I come knock on the door like, look what happened to me. And so we got 2 Americans in Korea with messed up knees, and we're trying to negotiate how we're gonna get our money, because injured American mean you don't get paid anymore. We're gonna ship you back home in Ironara. Um, So I had surgery, and now it started to be mental. Now it's like, oh man, I gotta start all over and rehab and do this. And the rehab process was very hard, very hard. Where I get shipped home with a messed up knee, and it's basically I'm rehabbing on my own now. And it took it took a while, about a year, to get back to start running a little bit. But during the rehab process, I didn't want to play anymore. It was like, hey, I done went this far down the line and going back overseas, and I think I'm a hang it up, and I just started a new journey.
so, pretty much my entire career, I knew what I kind of wanted to do. I wanted to be in a business, my own business.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and after all my brilliance, I ended up thinking that I was going to be a McDonald's operator.
Okay. Okay.
And then about a month after that, I got a phone call from Jerry Krause to coach, which I never thought. So I ended up coaching for another 16 years. What were you thinking about you were going to do at the end of your career? Did you have some thoughts about that and what you wanted to do? What was
You
your
know,
idea?
it was something I never thought that was going to happen at that particular time. Um, so all I knew was basketball. So the best thing I can do was get into coaching travel ball, get into training kids. And that's what I did for a while. I believe I did it for a good 10 years or more, probably 10 to 15 years, where I was training kids, putting on basketball camps once a month in California, um, coaching some of the highest talent in California with Adidas at that time. So I was still in the basketball world, but I was giving back my knowledge of basketball to the local kids in the area. Um, but didn't really think, at that time it was going to end too. After a while, coaching and standing up and yelling gets old. You know, who wants to do that and come home with a sore throat all their life? So
Yep,
so
I understand.
I know you understand. You talking a little better now than you were yelling at us back in the day.
So, talk about what were your thoughts about when you didn't want to coach anymore? Uh, what'd you end up doing?
So I had a nonprofit going on with basketball. So everything I've done has always been surrounded around kids. So I started working for a nonprofit in the Inland Empire, San Bernardino County. A guy named Terrence Stone Young Visionaries, where he basically hired me as being a mentor, where I go into schools and neighborhoods and give inspiration talks and try to guide, our youth into the right direction of being successful in life.
So you ended up now you did that where? Was that in LA?
This was in San Bernardino County, in San Bernardino, um, 30 minutes outside of LA, about 45 minutes east of LA.
So after spending time in LA, interesting enough, you ended up back in Oregon.
Ended up back in Oregon. COVID shut everything down. And you know, my whole life, as you can see, I've always traveled. Staying in one place just wasn't what I did. So California was getting old. It was getting real old. People aren't doing as I thought they were going to be doing, and I found myself doing what they was doing. I didn't want to do that. So I started. Oregon State basketball team was doing really good, so I started traveling with the team. We made it to the Elite Eight, and just it was a great experience just to see our team come from the bottom of the cellar and actually go to the NCAA tournament and make it this far. So ran into some people and we were talking and reconnected, and I was able to get my scholarship back, go finish my degree. So I took them up on that offer, and I started dating my wife now, and I told her I was gonna marry her, and she said okay. So it was basically I had to prove that I was gonna marry her. So we dated, met each other outside of California, Oregon for a while, and we knew school started back in like September. So my goal was to come back up here in September, start school, and marry my bride, and I did exactly that.
Talk about your degree. Your degree in what?
Well, I'm getting it in child development,
Um,
and excuse me.
what talk about that? What are you going to do with that?
I'm going to open up addiction/mental health facility here in Oregon. So I'm in school now to get all my qualifications for that. I'm qualified to actually practice with clients, but I'm not qualified to own my own building. I'm going to school to get all those qualifications so I can own a building in this profession. Well, own the practice.
So when you talk about helping kids, what do you mean? Is that like therapy work or what is that?
Well, see, here in Oregon, addiction and mental health is real big. You can drive down the street and see kids, adults that's on drugs, mentally bothered in certain situations. And my wife has been a lawyer here in Oregon for 20 years. And I work with her, and she works with the kids and the family. So why not work with my wife and get some of her clients and counsel them in certain areas I know I can.
So what's your goal with that? You want to build up a big practice, small, medium?
Um, I'm not gonna say big, I just want to be able to have a class of 30 or 20 or something like that, where I can see my work on some people that's really working. I can't save them all, but I just want to make a difference in people's lives.
So talk about your age group. What age group is that?
Anywhere from babies all the way up to adults. There's no age group. You can get babies that's struggling, with addiction due to parents are finding something on the floor, and then it ties to mental health as well. Drugs and mental health, I put them in the same category. And
Can you talk about not real detail, but talk about a case that you had to deal with where you're helping somebody along with their journey?
uh, I'd rather talk about my case. I had to help myself, instead of helping somebody else. So, it starts with yourself, you know, um, it starts with yourself. If I wanted to help somebody, the helper needs help at time too. So, what I did was, you know, growing up, we've always drank and stuff like that. And promised my wife after I married her, I'd never pick up alcohol again, which I did. And I had to learn more about relationships with alcohol. So what I did was I started going to AA classes and learning about alcohol and better myself more about alcohol, so I won't have to go drink alcohol. Because it's easy to go to dinner, to a meeting after work, but I wanted to see how do people just stop. So I entered AA. I went to sober functions and sober fest. So, I'm always trying to learn more in life. So I wanted to learn more about this addiction that everybody in this world has a relationship with alcohol. And from there, I had an interest in just learning more and learning more and learning more. Then I enrolled in a program to get certified in this area. So that's where all this came as I want to build a mental health facility, drug addiction facility. And I'm in school. School starts again on the 12th of this month, and I'm just waiting for it to start. It's just something that I feel I, a lot of people. I know a lot of people struggling with mental health and addiction, and I call myself a disciple from the man upstairs, and I'm doing God's work by educating myself and trying to educate others.
What's the hardest thing about not drinking?
Um, for me, I always say to stop doing something, you have to change people, places, and things. And the hardest thing is changing those three. You have to change the people you hang around with, change the places you go, and the things you do. You know, on For me, I moved to Oregon, so I basically changed everything. It was like a whole new surroundings for me. The only friend I had was my wife. So I had to start a new life, and get rid of the bad things I was doing, or not so good things. I wouldn't say bad, but not so good things I was doing to better myself. So I would say the main three things is people, places, and things. You have to actually really want, to change. And the first thing is it's always acceptance. Acceptance that there's something wrong with my relationship with a substance or alcohol or something.
Well, great. I just want to thank you for being on. It was super great.
Thanks for having me, Coach.
No, I really admired you. When we were together in Chicago, I always enjoyed being with them. You were really positive every day, which was really important. And later on, you found out that coaching is a pain.
It's a pain. Yes, 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 yes. You
and
know,
it
I
and it is a lot of responsibility, but you were always terrific, and
yeah, thanks, coach.
always really appreciated that.
You know, you were. I always say you were my second father. You know, if I had a problem, if I needed to cry on somebody's shoulder, if I had, I would go to your office and say, "This was going on." You'll say, you know, why don't you just go out there and work on your game a little bit more? You know, meet me down here and we can work some more, some more. So I appreciate all the time you put in with me as a pup, of developing myself as a basketball player, and outside of a basketball player, um, as a man too.
Well, you've had quite the journey, and thank you so much for being on. And let's definitely stay in touch. I'm pretty close. I'm in California.
Yeah, you're in Northern California, right?
Yeah, I'm Sacramento, San Francisco.
Oh yeah, you know my in-laws live in Southern Oregon, so we you know we drive out there a lot. I do a lot of fishing and golfing and do a lot of cowboy stuff nowadays. I you know, this is the new life. I fish about every week. I'm out in the rain fishing, out in the cold fishing. Wear my cowboy hats, my cowboy boots. But, you know, life is just totally different when you're at this age. I'm in a position where I just love to enjoy life. You know.
Well, the cowboy life I understand because that's how I grew up. But the fishing, no. The golfing, yes. Let's go.
Let's go. How's your golf game? I know it's good.
My golf game is I always say that it's not bad. It's not bad. There's going to be some holes. It's going to blow up a little bit, but golf for me is a rec sport. So
Yes.
I don't want to have to practice like crazy, and I don't need to be a single digit handicap. I just need to hit the hill of the ball and have some fun.
You know, that's one hobby I wish I would have picked up in the NBA because I love playing. My clubs are in my truck now. My wife bought her a pair of clubs, so every vacation we go on, I'm carrying clubs in the airport. She's golfing with me. I picked up golf during the pandemic. Brian Russell, Utah Jazz guy, he's from San Bernardino, our area, and we had to start figuring out outside activities. And he took me golfing. I bought me a pair of golf clubs, and it's been from there. And that's one of my hobbies I enjoy doing.
Awesome. Well, we're definitely going to have to play.
Okay, I need some pointers and some tips. I'm always here to learn.
Well, you're not going to learn anything from me. Not from golf.